look around the room and you see diversity. Isn't that awesome? Hi, Crystal. I love diversity. And our family is like so diverse. I meant to bring you a picture so you guys can see how diverse our family is. But it's really cool. We have a Hawaiian daughter-in-law, a Peruvian daughter-in-law. We got Kendall. We've got almost Tab. We've got, who else we got? A black son, 2 white sons, 3 interracial sons. And that's the way heaven is going to be. Right? So I started thinking about it. And people ask me some of the stupidest questions, you know, especially back when we first got married. People just ask dumb questions. They're like, what's it like being married to a white man? And I thought, well, melanin? It's the only thing I can think of, just pigmentation of her skin, but nothing else different. But what is different is culture. That's the difference. It's not really that you're married to a white man and he looks different and all these different things that you hear. It's just culture. And it's so funny because I think about our culture, and it was definitely a major clash. And, you know, one of the first things that I remember is my friend Sarah, when I was a young child. I went to her house, and I loved to go to the house because it was, to me, it was almost like watching Leave It to Beaver episode. And I would go in, and her moms would always say, Angie, you want to stage for dinner? And that alone was like a miracle, because in our house, it's like, you coming to dinner, we need to know how many pork chops we're going to have out. We need to know when you coming. Don't be surprised at us stepping up the door. We're going to, don't answer that door. But in their house, she would always say, Mrs. Martin, she'd say, would you like to stay for dinner? And I would always say, yes, I would love to stay, because I just thought that was the coolest thing, that first of all, that she could invite us on the dime. And then she would call all the kids in the kitchen. What would you like? What would you like for dinner? What would you like for dinner? And I thought, what the devil? We never had that. You didn't get a choice. So I went home and I told my mom, I said, Mother, I said, you just would not believe this. I said, over at Sarah's house, when they have dinner, they get choices. I said, how come we don't have choices? And my mother turned around and looked at me. She said, you do have a choice. I said, we do? She said, yeah, you get your butt in there, eat what's on the table, or go to bed hungry. You know, black mamas, we got jokes. We always have jokes. You just can't just ask a question to get a straight answer. We got to come back with something, you know, like, Christian, why? What? He'll say, Mom, I'm hurting, got a headache. It's because you're on your phone. I'm hungry. Well, if you get off your phone, it's just because you're on your phone. You know, we just come up with crazy reasons why, you know, things are the way they are. We always have jokes, you know. My mom, she was good with jokes. She could tell a joke, and I mean, you could just be talking about anything, and she'll turn that thing against you, you know, like, Mom, do you think we could have Mr. McDonald's today? And she's thinking about the bedroom that I didn't clean. She said, if you get your McDonald's butt in that bedroom and clean that bedroom up, that's your McDonald's right there. It's like, how did you get McDonald's into the bedroom? You know, it's like it has nothing to do with anything. But that's how we were. Now, I'm not saying this is true for everybody, but in my house, in our culture, that was the difference. The coolest thing about when you have diversity in your house, the kids forget that they can't say certain things, you know, because they're used to hearing it with each other, and they don't realize that it can be offensive to other people. So Mike, our white son, he decided that he was going to go to school and not do so well in one of these classes, either English or math. No, science or math. And I couldn't remember what teacher I was to call, and both of the teachers' names were Watkins. One was Ms. Watkins, the science teacher, and the other one was the math teacher. So I said, okay, Mike, well, which one am I calling? He got real frustrated. He said, Mom, just call the school and ask for White Watkins. Because one was white and one was black. Okay, yeah, Mike, that'll go over real well. Hello. This is Mrs. Yousey, and I need to speak to White Watkins. So, they don't think about, that color could be offensive to certain people if they don't understand where you come from. But he was just so innocent. And that's what I love about, people who say things like, I don't see color. What? I see color all the time. I see color in my house. Wouldn't it be a pretty boring place if we didn't recognize color? I mean, can you imagine? We'd fly 13 hours to Hawaii just to see blue water and palm trees and pretty blue skies. Color is a beautiful thing. People shouldn't shy away from color. What we should do is recognize each other's color, celebrate each other's color, celebrate our differences, and guess what? There's beauty in unity. Isn't that a beautiful thing? That's what I love about diversity. I always thought our family was special because it is so diverse. But anyway, it is the cultural difference. When I first met my husband, he was like really white. And he's still really white. And I'm still really black. The good thing is, we're not trying to pretend to be anybody else. I'm still me. My husband is still him. So when I met him, I wasn't used to hunting. What is venison? What is that? Deer meat, shooting turkeys and raising chickens. You remember me, chicken? So my husband decided that he was going to go get some chickens. Now, me being a city girl, not knowing anything about this country life, I said, oh, that'll be so cute. Well, in my mind, I'm thinking we're going to get 3 or 4 little 5 little chickens, and it's going to be the cutest little thing. So I'm at my house, and I hear all this chirping, chirp, 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 and I'm thinking, what is this? You can hear it outside the door. So I open the door. The mailman is frustrated with me. He's like, they're all yours. And I looked at him like, what am I supposed to do with them? He said, I don't know. You ordered them, didn't you? And he walked off. 260 chickens. 260 chickens. So they're so cute and little. Well, they can't do much damage. They certainly can't walk too far. So I called my husband, baby, what am I supposed to do with all these chickens? He said, oh, you just got to let them out and put some bowls of water out for them. Oh, okay, no problem. We opened the front door, and I opened up all the cases, had them little ties, and let them all out, and they were so cute. Oh, these are so cute. And then all of a sudden, they start spreading and spreading. And I had a 2-year-old granddaughter with me at the time because mom and dad were deployed, and I had her with me, and I was like, oh my God, they're heading for the street. Oh my God. And cars are coming. And I'm like calling the neighbors, help, help, help. And the neighbors, my elderly neighbors, they come out and they're blocking traffic, and they're come on, little chickies, come on, little chickies, come on back in, little chickies. And I'm calling my husband, I said, baby, the chickens are all over the neighborhood. And he said, you put them in the front yard. He's like, I can hear his diesel truck. Brrr. He's trying to get home like, oh my God. I said, Abby, my granddaughter, Abby, grab the chickens. She's grabbing them and she's squeezing them to death because they're little balls to her. And she's just squeezing them and they're dead. And there's another one like, oh my God, you're killing that chicken. And my Italian neighbor, he's like, come on, little chicken, come on, little chicken. And it's a terrible accent, but you know what I mean. The whole scene was horrific. 260 chickens running through the neighborhood. Neighbors are coming out from everywhere. Cars backed up on the street because I did not know. I said, this crazy life of white people. Who would want chickens? What's wrong with the eggs at Kroger? I've eaten them all my life. Why do I need new eggs now? So lo and behold, we have these 260 chickens. And I'm thinking we're just going to go pick the eggs up and we're just going to go sell them. Well, you got to go clean those nasty things. And they stunk so bad. And I would go to work with 40 dozen of eggs. So then he gets to hunting. And I was like, okay, we're going to get a deer and we're going to have some deer meat. Well, he went crazy with this year, so he goes and gets 4 guns for 4 of our oldest boys, and they all came back with a deer. So now we have to buy a whole deep freeze to fill up with deer meat, which, by the way, I have no clue how to make. And if it's not fried chicken or some pork chops, what am I going to do with this deer meat? So we have all this deer meat, and my husband decides he's going to process the meat in the garage. So, before you process it, you have to let it drain, which I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. So I go down in the middle of the night to go get some water, and I go down, and I'm standing over my sink. And now, if you just get the visual, this is a regular residential neighborhood. We're not even talking about, like a farm neighborhood. We're talking about like houses, cookie cutter houses. And I come down, and I'm standing over the sink, and I'm getting my water, and I look out, and I see a shadow of something huge, Sasquatch, in the tree. And I did this. And I ran upstairs like, baby, there's something in our tree. And he wakes up and he's like, oh man, I didn't want you to see the deer hanging in the tree. I hung the deer in the tree in the neighborhood where the neighbors could see the deer. He said, we're going to process it in the morning. I thought, oh my God, we are so country bumpkins. So the next day my father-in-law comes over and they're out in the garage and they're processing this deer, and I smell something that smells really good. And I thought, what are they cooking out there? I opened the door. The scene, I needed to see. I needed some therapy because they're cutting this meat off the deer. Their hands are bloody. They have an electric skillet with butter, and they're tossing meat into it with onions, and they're sauteing it. And the worst part about it is our kids are running around with the legs, the hoofs, and they're fighting each other with the hoofs. And I screamed and I slammed the door and I said, oh my God, I'm married into the Clampets. I thought, what is this? And they were eating this deer meat. So disgusting. Ooh. But you know what? I like deer meat now. The coolest thing is, there's so many things we wouldn't know about each other if we don't accept each other's differences. There's so many things that I've learned over the years. There's so many places I've gone that I never would have gone if it wasn't for my husband. But he, too, has experienced things that he would have never experienced if it wasn't for my family. So, y'all know what chitlins are. Chitterlings. Well, I grew up loving them. Loving them. I mean, tell you, we only got them twice a year. Christmas and Thanksgiving was the delicatessen, right? Get yourself some coleslaw, some hot sauce, and we are in. Can anybody testify? Amen. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Somebody brave enough to tell the story. Well, chitlins are intestines. Hog intestines. And they stink really bad. But when you're raised like that, you don't even think anything of it. It's just the normal life, right? So my mom, I go home, she's got chitlins cooking. And I walk in and I thought, that smells so good. And she takes her coats and she takes them in the back room, and my husband leans over. He said, baby, why does it smell like cow manure in here? I was so offended. I thought, that is not cow manure, that is chitlins. He ruined it for me. He says, baby, you've been redeemed from this. You've been redeemed. From that point, I started thinking about what I was putting in my temple. And I can't do chitlins anymore. I just ruined it. They still smell good to me, though. Stop it. You know, the other problem that we have in our challenge is it's hard to take pictures in the wintertime. You get that, don't you, Shirley? Because my husband is really pale in the wintertime. So we go get these pictures done, and the guy is just struggling. He's like, oh, man, I'm trying to get you right and get him not too right. And he got the light blaring on me, and I'm sweating. My makeup is running down my face, and he's trying to keep the light off my husband. And it's like, never again winter pictures. If we have a photo shoot, you got to go to the tanning bed, get some sun on you so we don't have to fight and clash. Too much of a contrast. So we go on this cruise, and we're on the cruise ship. And my husband's like, I want to go up on the top deck and sunbathe. Well, you know, you go on vacation, the two of you together, so you can be together. So he said, would you come up and just be with me? And I thought, oh, okay, all right. So I'm looking as I'm walking up there. I'm thinking, I got to find myself an umbrella because I'm not going to roast like a chicken at Sam's Club. So I find an umbrella, and I take it up on the top deck, and I push all of my body underneath me, and I'm sitting like this, trying to keep the sun off me, and he's next to me, and he's just roasting, and I look around, and I'm the only person of my complexion there, And now I got this black umbrella, and I'm getting all this heat, and I'm just sweating. And finally, I said in about 10 minutes, I don't know how you people do this. Who would on purpose roast like this? I will meet you for dinner. I'm going inside. I'm sitting in the hot tub. So I left this button right there. You go tan. I don't need the tan. I already got my tan. That's what you pray for. You pray that you have a woman with a beautiful tan. Well, my God, I got a permanent one. So I don't need to work on it. Other thing is, the other cultural big difference is, now this is just me, so don't get offended. But in my culture, black people, we didn't like to swim a whole lot. We didn't really like to get in the water. I don't know if it's because we didn't want to be messing up this hair, because it takes a lot of work, even though it ain't much. It's a lot of product to make these curls stay in place. So, I didn't learn how to swim until I was 40 years old. I went to the YMCA. I said, I'm going to learn how to swim because we're going on a cruise and I want to snorkel. So I go and I take my little 7-week course, and I thought I was an expert by then because I could swim across the pool and I could do it on my back. So surely I'm ready for the ocean. And that water is going to taste just like it did in the pool. So we get on this cruise, and I'm excited because I paid for my excursion. I am going to snorkel. I'm going to go see all these beautiful fish. I'm so excited. I worked so hard to swim across the pool at the Y, and I did it successfully, and everybody cheered me on. And I get up on the top of this boat, and I'm putting on all my snorkeling gear. My husband's, I said, you're going to do it with me, right, baby? Well, he's a good swimmer because he's white. So he puts all his stuff on, and we go down to the deck, and there's little babies, 4 or 5 years old. And our tour guide, he's like, jump in, and all these babies are jumping in. I thought, well, shoot, these babies are jumping in. I'm all in. I'm not going to let these babies show me out. Shoot. I jump in, and all of a sudden, I go down, down, down. And I look up, and I saw the light getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, and I thought, oh, my God, am I drowning? Oh, my God, this is a movie. And then all of a sudden, water got in my snorkel. Well, they didn't tell me what to do when that happens. You're not supposed to suck that in. So finally, God sent his angels down like Jonah, and he lifted me out of that deep abyss of darkness, and I started to emerge to the top, and I'm choking, and I'm trying everything I can to get this poisonous salt water that did not taste like the YMCA, shocked my system, and I'm looking, and I look over at the tour guide when I found him, and I said, how deep is this water? And he said, it's not deep at all, it's not deep at all, just swim. I said, how deep is it? Just 27 feet. And I lost it. I thought, oh my God, the wine was not 27 feet. They didn't prepare me for this. So I said, I can't do it. And he started saying, throw her the rope. So he throws the rope at me, and I grab the rope and everything, and they drag me to the boat. Well, you know there's sandpaper on that boat to keep you from sliding when you're walking up the thing. So he says, let go of the rope and climb up the steps. I said, I can't let go of the rope. And they dragged me up, and my skin is just, and I wouldn't let go, and they got me on the boat. Well, the worst part about this whole story is I had a friend that I met who was a nurse, and I said, take my picture, girl, I'm going to snorkel. Put it on continuous snaps. Snap. She kept snapping, and you saw me come up, and you saw me get drugged up, and she's just laughing. And I get back on the boat, and I said, where's my husband? And he was nowhere to be found. He's back on the top of the boat. All his gear is off. He's looking down at me. I said, why did you get in? He said, somebody had to be here to raise these kids. And I get my camera. She said, you're going to love these pictures. I deleted them all, and I wish I would have kept them. They would have been a great illustrated message for you. Anyway, I've learned how to swim a little bit better since then. I'm going to tell you my little joke, as if I didn't already tell you jokes, but this is my last joke. So, little Johnny, it's his birthday. He's 4 years old. His mother's in the kitchen, and she is baking a cake. It happens to be chocolate. So little Johnny goes in, and he grabs a big old scoop of that chocolate cake, and he wipes it all over his face. He said, look, Mama, I'm black. And his mother smacks him on the butt. That is not nice. You go see your father. So little Johnny goes into the next room and he said, Daddy, look, I'm black. He said, boy, are you kidding? He flies out of his recliner, he takes his magazine, he smacks him on the head with it. He said, That is not nice. No, you go see your father, your grandfather. So he goes into the next room and he says, Grandpa, look at me, I'm black. And his grandfather smacks him real good across his head too, and he says, you go to your room. He goes back through the kitchen. He says, Mama, I changed my mind. I don't want to be black. I've been black for 5 minutes already. I got beat 3 times. That's my last joke. Anyway, diversity is a good thing. It's not anything we need to be afraid of. We shouldn't be afraid to talk about it. We should be open to talk about it. And then when people say things that they've heard all of their lives, I heard somebody say to me the other day, well, I heard the reason why black people are good in sports is because they have the extra Achilles tendon thing, you know. Well, you know, that's just some devilish, crazy talk, right? But that's what they've heard all their lives. So people who really want to change, be willing to have those conversations, because it's a good thing. And we can learn so much from each other, because I learned so much from my husband, and he's learned so much from me. And it's just been fun to, I feel good because when we're driving down the road and my kids know what, everything that's growing in that field. Well, in my word, it's just beans and corn. That's all I know. It's just corn. It's just beans. Well, you know, I thought corn was corn. I didn't know that some corn you can't eat and some corn you just for animals and some corn just for you. I would have never known that if it wasn't for my husband and diversity, right? Culturally diverse. So it's a beautiful thing. Celebrate it. Made for more beauty in unity. Is that a good message?